Yo, what is good with y'all? It's your boy KAG, and today we're going to be talking about the Nintendo NX and this patent that y'all are currently seeing on the screen right now. Now, I know you're thinking, well, this was actually proven to be fake and false and all that stuff, but no, that's not actually the case. What was actually proven to be fake and false was the actual little models that people made online, but this patent is actually a real patent, and it's very real, and it actually may have something to do with the Nintendo NX that we may not even be looking at because we just overlooked it because everything else was proven to be false. Now let's go ahead and let's hop into this actual patent, and I was able to find this because I was actually looking for Nintendo, and I was looking at all these Nintendo patents, and this patent never showed up. I was like, well, where the heck is this patent at? I know it's got to be around here somewhere, right? But no, it was nowhere to be seen. And the reason why that was is because it's actually registered under a person's name by the name of Kuwahara, and he is actually an employee or an inventor at Nintendo. So he actually creates a lot of patents for them. But in this case, Nintendo's name is not on the patent, and let me tell y'all exactly why it's not on the patent. And that is because Nintendo, whenever they are putting out a patent, a lot of times they don't want people to know what they are actually patenting. So they will go ahead and they will let it be under the name of the inventors. And then once the actual product was out there on the market and it was available, then they would actually go ahead and they would add the Nintendo name to the actual patent later down the line. Now, with all that being said, Kuwahara actually led me to some information regarding Nintendo NX that y'all may find interesting. But before we go ahead and do that, let's go ahead and give y'all a better little screenshot to look at. So, now that we got that up there, let's go ahead and let's talk about this actual patent. Now, the funny thing about this patent is it actually kind of relates to the 3DS, and let me tell y'all why that is. Now, under here we have a description of the related art. It says, one example of the related art is disclosed in Japanese patent application. The information processing apparatus disclosed in literature 1 is a foldable game apparatus that comprises an upper housing and a lower housing. A stereoscopic LCD is provided on the front surface of the upper housing, and speakers are provided in the left and right of the stereoscopic LCD, and then the inner camera is provided above the stereoscopic LCD. On the other hand, a lower LCD is provided on the front surface of the lower housing, and a cross button and an analog pad are provided on the left and lower side of the LCD, and an A, B, and XY buttons are located on the right of the lower LCD. And a home, select, and start buttons are provided below the lower LCD. And what that is actually describing there for y'all is the Nintendo 3DS. So this would technically be the successor to the 3DS. However, that's not necessarily the case. Even though this actually refers to that particular patent, which is the 3DS, this new invention right here could technically be something that is unique in its own because the DS actually relates to the Game Boy. But in this case, this could actually be the NX. Now, as a lot of y'all know, nobody has ever said what the NX is. Nobody has said whether or not it's a console, it's a handheld, whatever. They didn't say it's a hybrid, and a lot of people have been asked this question. Nobody will answer it. Now, there may be a reason why there is. Maybe it is a hybrid of some sort, so maybe it's a handheld that actually connects to your TV, but we'll actually have to go ahead and discuss that a little bit further. Now, as I said, there was another patent that was filed regarding this actual device right here. And the name of that patent is the server-enabled user exchange between information processing devices. Now, what that pretty much means is it actually sets conditions. So if conditions of product A matches conditions of product B, then they were able to communicate, and then, you know, we have, let's say, gameplay, for example. So let me go ahead and just read a bit of it. So it says, condition and determine unit 44 determines whether information processing device A and information processing device B satisfy the data exchange condition based on location information and time information of information processing device A, and location information and time information of information processing device B. Resulting transmitting unit transmits predetermined information to information processing device A and information processing device B, it is determined that information processing device A and information processing device B satisfy the data exchange condition. So in other words, the two devices, let's say if you had two of these particular devices, maybe you had two of these console devices, or maybe we had two handheld devices, or a handheld and a console device, and they were communicating with each other. The server, which is like the middleman between the two of them, it would actually determine whether or not you have a strong enough signal coming from your console to connect to your handheld, and whether or not your handheld has a strong enough internet signal to connect to your console. So that's pretty much what that's saying right there. So the interesting thing about this device, like I was saying, is the fact that, number one, it takes cartridges, but that's normal because all handhelds take cartridges. But the funny thing is, it actually takes a SIM card. It has a SIM card built inside of it, which means technically it could be connected to some type of internet service like AT&T or Verizon or Sprint or T-Mobile or something like that, where you can actually go there and get a data plan for this device, and you would actually be able to connect online. Now, the funny thing about this is, like I said, with it being online all the time, it would kind of make it more of a sense that it would actually be able to communicate with this console here, because it was constantly be able to be in contact with it. So, but because it actually takes cartridges, it may mean that you're able to play the cartridges while you're on the go. But if you have a strong enough internet signal, or you have strong enough Wi-Fi or 4G LTE, you're able to connect to your console at the house and be able to play this game. Now, another thing which is interesting about this device is the fact that it has a GPS receiver built inside of it. Now, the reason why that is because, like I said earlier, this is a device that you'd probably take on the go. But for this actual circumstance, you could probably be playing a game like Pokemon Go, and because it uses GPS, when you're on the go, and let's say you get to some area, you may be able to see a Pokemon somewhere and be able to capture it when you're playing Pokemon Go, because it actually has a GPS receiver in it. So that would actually play a part there. But that may also mean that this device has a lot more to do with AR, which is augmented reality. So rather than going the VR route, maybe they're going more towards AR, because AR is more accessible. It's a lot easier to use. You don't have to put on stupid goggles or anything, and you can still have a good time with it. So it's possible that they are actually doing something with that. Now, another thing to mention is the fact that it has NFC built inside of it. So you could probably scan your amiibo on here, but that was to be expected. And a new thing that is actually an addition to this device is the fact that it actually has a vibration motor in it. But it's not just a regular vibration motor, because it's actually a spatial vibration motor where it can actually vibrate certain parts of the controller. So for example, if you were going ahead and you were playing The Legend of Zelda and you were to kick a tree, it would probably vibrate in the area where you actually kicked the tree. So that's pretty interesting, when you actually think about that. And it leaves to be a pretty cool and unique handheld type device. Not to mention the fact that it's able to connect with the console. So, that is pretty neat. Now, the reason why I think they're actually going this route is because, number one, we just came off of a Wii U failure. We can all pretty much say that the Wii U was a failure, for all sense of purposes. But because they go ahead and they present this device as a brand new device, or a third pillar like they did with the DS, then they can say, hey, check out this new device. This is the Nintendo NX. And they don't say it's a console, they don't say it's a handheld, they don't say it's either one. So if the people say, oh, I absolutely hate this device, I don't like it, I don't want anything to do with it, they can be like, okay, well, here's the console, They can then release a console, which gives them like a second chance in case nobody actually likes this device. But if people tend to like it and they end up adopting it at a heavy rate, then they could be like, well, this is gonna be the new console, and they're gonna have release after release of this rather than a traditional console. Sort of like what they did with the DS and the Game Boy line. They released the DS as a new device. It's not the successor to the Game Boy or anything like that. But we all know how that turned out. When the DS sales were incredible, they were like, okay, Game Boy is now gone, DS is now taking over. And so that could be the case here. Now, as we all know, this device actually has a hard drive in it, and like I said, an SD card. And I'm assuming that's going to be a very HD high definition screen, so it's probably going to look really good. And a matter of fact, in the patent it actually says that by having your hand going over part of the screen, they said it actually draws you into the game a lot more. It gives you a lot more immersion into the game. So yeah, this is turning out to be something interesting. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button. And as always, if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe, because we talk about all things Nintendo here. And I'm out of here. Peace.